everybody, and welcome back to the Star Wars Expanded Universe, narrated by Disney, or Lucasfilm, whichever way you slice it, Legends. Today I'm here to talk about a book I've already talked about, and I have a video for it if you want. Earlier me talking about it, I'm not going to go as in-depth with it this time because, well, I've reviewed it before. But I also have a bunch of other stuff to talk about, mostly comics and children's books and whatnot. So I hope you all join me for that. I don't know if I mentioned in my last video, I kind of forget. Star Wars Tales number 7, outbid, but never outgunned. In case I've already talked about it, I'll just say it's a very, very, very good, I mean, okay, maybe too many varies, but it's a good Boba Fett tale. And if I haven't, it's really short, so you should just read it, but it is worth your time. Anyway, Star Wars Tales number 11, Ghost. Now this may or may not be canon. I think this is more S tier, perhaps. You can take it or leave it. I mean, Jan Driesma did the art. I'm assuming John Ostrander did the story. I'm not sure about that. But it's a younger Han Solo on his own. I don't know if you would place this before or after the novel I'm talking about, but I don't know, just read it before, I guess. And you have an older Quinlan Vos on the run from bounty hunters who believe him to be a Jedi. So Solo has a little adventure with this guy, with Quinlan Vos. By the end of it, they get out of the situation, and Quinlan Vos does a mind trick to make him forget that they ever really met. I mean, it's the art is beautiful. It's John Ostrander. The story is fine. Personally, well, I don't think it was ever confirmed whether it was canon or not. I like to think that Quinlan Vos is still out there doing stuff, so I'm willing to accept it as actually happening. But I don't know, read the story for yourself and let me know what you think in the comment section below. At this point, we are about, I want to say, like 10 years before the events of Episode 4, before the Battle of Yavin. And we are, of course, I consider to officially be in the original trilogy era because of the fact that Han Solo has now been introduced to us. Before we get to the novel that is the title of this video, I want to mention a short story called Dark Vendetta, which was in Star Wars Galaxy number 8, which was a magazine. I thought this was a really, really good short story. I really enjoyed it. It focuses on Inquisitor Tremaine, who is hunting down a Jedi Knight and his Padawan. Now, I know we're 10 years away from Episode 4, but I mean, the galaxy is a big place, so theoretically there could have been some, Jedi that, still were okay. But they were found out by Inquisitor Tremaine, and he was hunting them down. And it's actually really good. However, Tremaine quickly dispatches the master, but the apprentice, in his rage, gives into the dark side and manages to cut off an arm of, and some other things, but you read it to find out, of Tremaine's, which makes him out to have, like, robotic prosthesis, which Vader handled personally, by the way. But overall, I think we're going to see more of Inquisitor Tremaine in the short stories, because he's like a kind of a short story bad guy that pops in and out. And what I've seen of him so far, because we also saw him in those little web comics and stuff, I think Inquisitor Tremaine's really awesome so far, what I've seen of him, and I'm excited to see more of him. But yeah, definitely Dark Vendetta is a genuinely good story. I think it's worth your time. Now, we get to the title of this video. Han Solo, Book 1, Paradise Snare by A.C.Crispin, who, at the time of this recording, I mean, it's been a while since this recording, but I don't know if that was the case when I did my review last time. It might have been, I don't remember. But she passed away, which sucks. A lot of our Star Wars EU writers have been passing away. But this story, second time through, just as good as I remember. I don't know if it would be in a top 10 book series, but it would certainly be in a top 20 for sure, and probably higher up there in the top 20, like maybe even 11. But it's a really good story. You know, we get to see Han at a young age. We get a lot of stuff that it just helps recontextualize a lot of stuff we see moving forward. Like, he doesn't know who his parents are, he's an orphan. He gets taken in by this guy named Garrett Shrike. Garrett Shrike is this, kind of bad guy who's a scam artist. Uses Han as a kid because people feel bad for kids, and Han's an especially cute little boy. Don't take that out of context. That could be made into a pedo joke. I could see Quality Autism doing it. I could see you. Anyway. But so he uses him for, helping with con jobs and whatnot. But one friend he does make with Garrett Shrike is Delana, who is a Wookiee. And Delana basically treats Han Solo as a son, which this helps recontextualize when he becomes friends with Chewie. Think about it. I'm sure it's never mentioned, but maybe all that closeness to Chewie, not just because Chewie's a great guy, but reminds him of Delana. He eventually escapes his abusive father figure after stuff happens. I won't get into it. Read the book. And he makes it to a planet called Elysia, which is a planet that is smuggling and handles spice, glitter stim, and some other stuff, I think. The people in charge there are cousins, evolutionarily, to the Hutts, and they work for the Hutts and stuff, the Talinda Till, and they have this whole religious service that goes on the off hours of work, and Han at some point meets Bria Theron, who is this pilgrim who works in the factories of this place, and visits the religious exaltation. Also during his time, because this is before Han meets Chewie, we get another character who kind of fits that same sort of role, but is a unique enough and enjoyable enough character on his own, which is Morg. He's a cat-like species. There's a couple cat-like species in Star Wars, but it's not the Cathar. It's I forget what they call it, but he's a different kind of cat species. But he's a really cool character too, and I really enjoyed everything with him. But eventually Han decides that he should escape with Bria and Morg. They escape. And of course, Han has fallen in love with this girl, and she's done the same. And that's the thing about Han. I think he's only ever truly loved 2 women in his life. Oh, he's had many girls in his time because he's Han Solo. But he's only loved 2. And that was Bria, and then there's Leia. Stuff happens near the end. Bria can't get over her addiction. She doesn't think that's good for Han. So she leaves Han to go figure herself out. Han's left alone, but with some money given to him by Bria's dad. And he goes to join the Imperial Academy. And that's kind of where the book ends. Now, again, I think I went a bit more in depth with this in my original review. Perhaps I'll leave a link in the description to that original review. But overall, again, second time through, this book is phenomenal. The writing is phenomenal. She gets Han. And it's interesting to see him a bit younger. Just before he's super jaded and all that he is. I'll say this trilogy is perfect for Han's character development into the character we see in episode 4. But the Brian Daley trilogy, the one that came out in the 80s, is Forgive me, but it's like Indiana Jones in space. It is Han Solo at his most Han Solo-y that we see him in episode 4 before the character development. Just going on crazy adventures. And it's fun, it's great, but character development is kind of, you can't change because the movie's coming. But this one was really good, and I really enjoyed it. But, my friends, we're not done here, because next we move on to Star Wars Tales number 11. Princess Leia Diaries. It's trash. First off, I found the writing for the Dear Diary moments really hard to read. Like, I tried. It was really difficult to read. And it's Leia, and she doesn't want to go with the flow. She's a feminist. She wants to do this. She wants to do that. When she goes up on stage to do a dance recital, she dances like a slave girl. She's got to be what, like 15 at this point? Kind of gross. And Bale's just like, I mean, if you like seeing your daughter dance sexually, cool, I guess. This is before everything with woke culture. She's also like, tee I'm gonna throw water at Tarkin, and just being annoying. Like, it's a nothing story, and you don't need it. It adds nothing. It is nothing. It's stupid. And I mean, check it out if you want. I would recommend, if you do check it out, do it online. Don't force yourself to read it by buying it. Don't buy any Star Wars Tales. Just read it online, where you can suffer for free. Don't waste your hard-earned money on this stuff. I didn't enjoy it, obviously. Now we go to Star Wars Tales number 20 with Skywalker Detective. It's a little adventure with Luke on Tatooine. I don't really like the art. I'm also going to say this is around like 8 to 7 BBY now. I don't like the art. I think the art is ugly. I think it's fugly. I think it's awful and bad. That being said, the story is okay. It's nothing great. It's nothing horrible. It exists, and it's fine. It's a fine little story with Luke before the big adventures he would go on in the future. So if you want to check out some Luke before the big adventure in episode 4, that might be one to check out. Next we have is Star Wars Tales number 15, Sandstorm. Luke goes out into the desert during a sandstorm, and he sees a young Annie from episode 1 of The Phantom Menace. What? And he talks to him for a bit. They get into some trouble. They fight a crate dragon, because that's all that Luke can do on this planet, as you'll see moving forward. But by the time the sandstorm is over, Luke is in the sand, unconscious, and there's no dead crate dragon and no little Annie. And when Luke wakes up, he goes to his uncle Owen and says, "Where's the crate dragon? Where's Annie?" It's stupid. First off, I don't even... What is it supposed to mean? Tatooine is not Dagobah. It's not filled with the Force like other planets are, like that we know that they are. So what, did he just have a bad dream? Because it's oddly specific about a father he's never met before. Is it some sort of Force vision? Why do you have it out in the middle of the desert? Why? Who cares? It's stupid, it's dumb, it's not necessary. Skip it. Now, I'm only going to mention it because I found it interesting. But do not, for the life of me, spend your hard-earned money on this. Okay? In the Shadow of the Empire source book, okay, there are little paragraphs of story that you can find. It is Nothing much. At most, you'll get is a page, but there's some additional story with Caesar and stuff like that, and Guri, which would take place around here. It's absolutely not necessary. Do not spend $57 for these little snippets. It's not worth it. But if you can find it online for free, go ahead. That's all I'll say. Then we have Luke Skywalker, Skywalker's Walkabout. Now this is actually pretty decent. Luke and I don't know if you remember what his friend's name was. Wendy, maybe? That'd have been a different girl. It's one of his childhood friends, and they're out exploring in the desert. They find a crate dragon, and they're like, "Oh no, we're going to die!" But who saves them? Oh, but Obi-Wan Kenobi. That one's fine. I actually really enjoy that one, and I think it makes sense for him to at least have met Obi-Wan once, because he seems to be vaguely familiar about the man in episode 4, which implies that they have some sort of history. He's at least seen the guy before. So that's fine with me. It's a pretty decent little comic. It's nothing much, but it is something. And I thought it is worth your time. Next, we go back to Star Wars Tales 15, Falling Star. Luke and Biggs are going to board the ship to go visit one of the moons next to Tatooine. Just that, and then come back home just for a little taste of off the planet. But the ship malfunctions, it's crashing, and Luke has to fix it before they all die. It's not exactly bad. It's not good, but it exists. I mean, none of the characters look like themselves. Aunt Beru and Owen look far too young here. It looks kind of anime, but not anime. It's a weird art style. Didn't really approve. It's a thing. It's acceptable, but you don't need it. Moving forward, we have actually, I'm just going to mention this real quick. Adventures in Beggar's Canyon, a golden book. Luke and his friend, I don't remember if it's Wendy or somebody else, go explore the desert. Only the difference this time is that they're in a ship, and the ship crashes. They go to find shelter, and they come upon a crate dragon, and yet again, Obi-Wan saves them. It is virtually the same story, but in a little golden book. And to be honest, because it's so similar, it could almost be like how Shadow of the Empire has a novel and a comic and a video game, all of it basically tell the same story. And if you're going to try to find that golden book, unless you're getting it legally online, good luck, because it's a golden book, which means that not only are EU collectors trying to find it, but also golden book collectors, because that's a thing for some reason, want to collect golden books. So you're going to be spending a crap ton of money for a little children's book, and it's not worth it. It's not. So I would just recommend reading Luke Skywalker's Walkabout, because it's virtually the same story. And yeah, lastly, in Adventure Journal number 5, Turning Point by Charlene Newcomb. This story about a guy who wants to join the Empire until he realizes that the Empire is bad, and goes to be a double agent in the Empire to tell Resistance stuff. And it's like a slow plan, like a slow burn of, little by little messing with the Empire in any way he possibly can. It's alright. It is most definitely a prequel to other stories that we'll see in the adventure journals, with a character named Alex Winger, which I know nothing about except for that Matt Wilkins hates her. But I know this because by the end of the story, Alex, the child, shows up, and I was like, oh, so it's a prequel. Also, because her dad is mentioned here, Torque Winger. So that's how I knew that was a thing. It's an okay little story, but if you're gonna get into the entire Alex Winger saga chronologically, you would start here. But that's pretty much it, guys. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. Sharing helps out a ton. Don't forget to subscribe. Also, some other people subscribe to. 2 Star Wars nerds. Fantastic people. I love them. Quality Autism, even though he's a German racist. No, but Quality Autism is good fun, and you should go check out his content. Even though if you don't speak German, then half of the content you won't be able to appreciate anyway. It's funny. Anyway, Matt Wilkins, of course. OG Star Wars, Open Air Policy, Ryan Kennel. Quinlan Voss, my buddy. Callum Jones. Whole bunch of Star Wars YouTubers to check out. But I hope you'll join me for next time when we get into the Droids comics, and not the 80s ones, the ones that were made by Dark Horse. And I hope you'll join me for that. Until next time, may the Force be with you.